And welcome back to Newsmax TV's election coverage. I'm Miranda Kahn. One person is dead. Several are injured after a shooting at a California polling location.
After the initial exchange of gunfire, there were victims down at the scene. We had to extract them from the scene.
Authorities also said 2 victims were transported to local hospitals, but they don't know what their condition is as of yet. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi attacks FBI Director James Comey for investigating Hillary Clinton's aide Huma Abedin's emails.
So this is like a Molotov cocktail just thrown into a very explosive arena. Shouldn't have done that. Regardless of the impact on the election.
Republicans, meanwhile, retain control of the House, but the Trump campaign believes that their party could have supported them more.
It would really be too bad if we win narrowly, and it's because not because of the Democrats or this, that, the other. It's because we have former presidents not voting for us.
That was Kellyanne Conway, Trump's campaign manager. A spokesperson for former President George W. Bush told the Wall Street Journal that he didn't vote for any candidate to be president and instead voted for down-the-ticket Republicans. But a friend of Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, kept his seat in the Senate.
Let me first start by saying this is a lot better than the last time I did one of these in Miami.
Rubio defeated Democratic challenger Patrick Murphy to keep his seat. Former GOP presidential candidate and Marco Rubio's former rival, Jeb Bush, congratulated the re-elected senator for his victory and for keeping a seat which is crucial for Republicans to maintain control of the Senate. And Morning Joe host Joe Scarborough tweets this: Michigan, Florida, Virginia, and North Carolina are still up in the air. Republicans hold the House. The Senate looks the same. Stunning. And be sure to stay tuned for more election results with Newsmax TV all night. For right now, let's send it back over to JD.
Thanks very much, Miranda. Remember at home that you too can get in on our conversation. Give us a call at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Now let's continue our conversation as we continue to await vote tabulation. We're very pleased to be rejoined from Newsmax New York by my colleague Steve Malzberg and by the former Lieutenant Governor of New York State, Betsy McCaughey, and again joining us from Holland, Michigan, the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and my old colleague from Capitol Hill, Pete Hoekstra. And we appreciate all y'all being here, as we say down south. Still some states where it's too close to call: Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Ohio. And Betsy, those are the states where the waiting is getting to be, well, it's a kind of glorious agony, isn't it?
It's glorious agony, but it also really underscores the importance of what Donald Trump has done. He went into those states with a message that other Republicans had failed to provide, which is, we are going to unleash energy production. We are going to bring home manufacturing. We are going to slash corporate tax rates to jumpstart the economy. He had a very clear economic message and an important message to people in those states who have been all but totally forgotten and written off by Republicans as well as Democrats in Washington, D.C. And to me, one of the most exciting things to see tonight is, despite what everybody in the media said, the builder is vying for the presidency with the blabber. You don't have to be a lifelong blabbing politician to win the presidency. A man who has built a business can run for the presidency and hold his own.
Congressman, you know, the New York Times right now, and it's a snapshot in time, it changes, has a 77% chance for Donald Trump to win the presidency and a 95% chance for the Republicans to keep the Senate. You know, you've been out there, you know, speaking the word on behalf of Donald Trump when it comes to national security. That's something we haven't mentioned really that much. Nobody's fault in the broadcast at all today. I didn't mention it in the 2 shows I did earlier before coming on with JD here at 7 o'clock. So I don't think we should lose sight of that. You know, the war on terror, keeping America safe, not letting Syrian refugees flood this country. I think that resonated with Americans as well.
Yeah, I think Republicans had a major messaging problem when all they focused on was Benghazi. It was tragic to lose an ambassador and 4 Americans in Benghazi. But the bigger picture here is the total failure of the Clinton administration's war on radical jihadism. Iraq, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, they all became failed states. 500,000 people killed in Syria. Genocide against religious minorities in Iraq and Syria. Millions of refugees flooding into Europe. Millions more displaced. I mean, and Republicans continue to focus on Benghazi, Benghazi, Benghazi. The message and the story is much bigger in terms of their failure.
Panel, let's go back to the phones at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Let's head to Lawrenceville, Georgia, where David has been waiting patiently. David, welcome to Newsmax TV.
Hi, JD. How are you?
Doing fine, sir. What's your assessment of what we've seen thus far?
Well, I actually don't believe it's any big surprise, to be honest with you. I really felt that Donald Trump was going to pull it out here in the end, and I sure hope and pray that he does for the good of the country. I believe that what we are seeing is exactly what I believed all along, that the people of America that work every day, that get up and go to work, and are just completely fed up with the current administration and everything that's happened in the past 8 years.
Well, that's a great point. Absolutely a great point. And let me ask anybody who wants to weigh in on this, let me direct it to you, Congressman, again. Brexit. I mean, we heard today from the man who spearheaded the whole Brexit vote and situation that he feels another one coming here today. We've been talking about this and talking about this when it comes to flooding our country with refugees, and simply when it comes to people not being honest to pollsters or the polls getting it wrong. People predicted this would be another Brexit. Is that what we're seeing here, sir?
I think what you're seeing is that there are a lot of people who feel alienated from Washington and from the America that they know and love and that they're committed to. The pollsters never interviewed them. I think if they would have called them, they would have given them the answer that said, we're going to vote for Donald Trump. They're not afraid to say it. They just never got in. The pollsters never identified these folks. And what they did is they came out. I can't tell you the number of places that I went where I saw totally new people that I'd never seen involved in the political process in Michigan before. But they were out there, and they were sometimes the most vocal and the most visible Trump supporters.
Betsy McCoy, you talked about...
That's right. And
go ahead, Betsy.
I was just going to say, I was talking with people at the BBC earlier this evening, and they do see many similarities, but particularly this one with Brexit, because in both cases there were many first-time voters, infrequent voters, and those are the people the pollsters don't get.
Let's take a look at some numbers. Again, in those states that are critical swing states, not ready for any decision from the media outlets, but let's take a look at some of these vote totals, and let's begin in the Keystone State of Pennsylvania. And I would say this has to be a disappointment if this kind of trend holds up. Our records show just 31% of the precincts reporting. Hillary Clinton with a substantial lead, 57 to 39%, perhaps based on that final appearance of the campaign in Philadelphia. But Florida has much more encouraging news for Donald Trump, where he leads by the slimmest of margins. But hey, it'll work, 49 to 48 with 94% of the precincts reporting. And then to the Buckeye State of Ohio, where again, we remind you, no Republican has won the presidency without winning Ohio. And Donald Trump continues to lead in that state. Pete Hoekstra, you're in Michigan.
JD, if I could interrupt for a second.
Yes,
CNN just gave Ohio to Donald Trump, giving him at this point 167 electoral votes.
Wow. Ohio to Trump. Peter Hoekstra, we know the rivalry between the Buckeye State and your home state of Michigan. What is it going to take for Michigan to follow suit? What is the margin you've seen there now? 30 seconds.
One of our major newspapers called the state for Hillary Clinton. They're now regretting that call. They called it too early. Michigan, I think, is going to squeak it out yet for Donald Trump here in the last in the next hour or so.
But the major news that Steve Malzberg brought us based on calculations from CNN is that Ohio, a state that has given this country many presidents, may help elect Donald Trump president tonight, the Buckeye state in the column for the billionaire businessman. Now, with this news coming, this adds momentum, and it adds to the electoral vote totals, and it adds to our encouragement to you to give us a call at 1-877-NEWSMAX, and also log on and let us know for whom you voted. You can do that by going to newsmaxpolls.com. Our conversation continues with my old friend, the former majority leader on Capitol Hill, Tom DeLay, and Bill Tucker, Sam Nunberg, and Steve Malzberg as we continue our coverage.